A warm welcome to all our viewers, to our series Natural Medicine Today. We have already had a number of programs on the subject of cancer nutrition, but also tumors. What do tumors dislike? And I have the chief physician of the Biomed Center Sonnenberg Clinic here with me today, Alexandra Kotthaus. And I am very happy, above all, because we always see in the comments again, so what am I allowed to eat? And there is so much confusion in the whole subject. And I'm very pleased that we're going to get some clarity today. So stay tuned. Hello dear Alexandra, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Corina. I'm always happy when you come, because you have such a great spectrum. You're also a specialist in psychotherapy and psychiatry.
Psychiatry, exactly. And then also a general practitioner with specialist training and these anthroposophical and naturopathic aspects. And now you really have this holistic approach in your clinic. And I remember you did a broadcast with Alexandra about what the tumor needs or doesn't need to exist. And then you also noticed that a few comments were super motivated. I'm back on that healthy track. And of course I always know these statements. Then I can't eat anything anymore. Then I can't eat anything anymore. And regarding this I can't eat anything anymore, I would be happy if we cleared that up a bit today.
Yes, thank you, me too.
Nice. Well, you always have to differentiate. A tumor is not just a tumor. And if we now talk about nutrition and tumor nutrition, what do you really want to specialize in?
Actually, I would like it. Well, there are many people to whom I explain what they should eat and they say, okay. There are also more and more people who say, I'm not far from that. But there are always people, or especially something abstract like, who watch a show and then I'll say, of course I've listed the worst things. And what's left now? These things are delicious. Of course that's tough. We are so socially shaped. We are shaped in a certain direction by our parents and grandparents. But we are also shaped by advertising, films and series. So there is always food. As a result, we have images in our heads. When I see a pizza advertisement, I couldn't say that my mouth doesn't water a bit. Of course, these are also very skillful people, who then take extra great photos and create an atmosphere. Well, I mean, maybe one way to eat healthy is to not watch ads. But then I also have it in films or in series. Then people meet over dinner or often. I have the feeling that this increases a little more again. Alcohol is everywhere. A glass carafe with 2 glasses. You just pour yourself something and then discuss something. This is how we are manipulated. But it has to be said very clearly that we don't really eat like our grandparents anymore. I would say that for most of the people, our parents are a bit alien. I mean, we're going back a long way too. It actually started with the grandparents, sometimes great-grandparents. Baking powder was one of the first convenience products. Actually so easy, it's not even about opening a bag of baking powder, or mixing a spoonful of cream of tartar, and a spoonful of baking soda together. The baking powder then needs the additive, so that the baking soda does not react with the cream of tartar in the bag. That's why there's added starch. This is often modified starch. Then maybe a bit of this, or that is still in there, so that it is then stable. Aluminum sometimes and phosphates, which we just don't have in there when I just take baking soda and cream of tartar. Actually, it's also up to me to say, hey guys, just because I'm saying this and that is bad. Yes, if I now eat products that are not at the beginning of the food chain, then toxins accumulate. So sometimes there are many reasons, animal products, I would say at least limit them. It is also the case that people have now looked who survives cancer. In the case of types of cancer that are considered difficult to treat by conventional medicine, that's quite well documented, people live longer who take things into their own hands. And the people who really go into complete remission, so cancer also partly in stage 4, or with conventional medical treatment before. So radiotherapy, chemotherapy. It cannot be ruled out that they can experience a complete remission. But these are all people who don't rely on the prescribed therapy regime alone, but they accumulated at certain points in their lives. There's someone specifically investigating this complete remission, and they have a fund of over 1,000 cases. We are slowly getting into the area that is really statistically significant, so meaningful. And there are factors that emerged from that. What did these people do? On thing is, they took personal responsibility. Also had a strong will to live. There were also many factors that were located rather in this mental area, but also nutrition. In fact, they all changed their diet. They didn't all eat the same diet, but there are a few factors that have emerged. They usually omitted meat, dairy products and sugar and ate lots of fruit and vegetables. Or nowadays, I should say ate vegetables and fruits and juices. This is something that can be found in several literatures. And now one goes a little bit more into this direction, the other a bit more in that direction, but also the word tons of fruit and vegetables are in there. And at this point some might say, but I'm on the renunciation side with fruits and vegetables. So I would like to say, dear people, my grandmother told me, kid, you can turn around as much as you want, your ass will always be in the back. And getting healthy without a lot of fruit and vegetables, forget that. But that doesn't mean that I only have to eat fruit and vegetables, but there are other things I can eat. And I give my patients, I just want to say, please don't think it's malnutrition or mental malnutrition, it really depends. I give my patients tips, then they eat more of it, then their soul is more at peace. Or we do it like this, now with us in Sonnenberg, we have a very dedicated, creative chef. He has now developed a pizza dough where we get the feedback, is it seriously gluten-free? We also don't use the cornmeal or cornmeal, that then is an extract with a really stupid carbohydrate composition. Of course, no tumor patient gets that from us. And now that we've figured that out, I still want to say come on, it's okay to eat a pizza sometimes. I've now found out how I can at least make cheese without cheese, not raw slices on sandwiches, but to gratinate. It has already passed the children's test. I would say, I always give my patients, I call them favorite recipes, a few recipes for the soul, where we can really eat a pancake, or a waffle, or ice cream with the highest quality ingredients. And also a cancer patient. And now, of course, the patient gets fine-tuning in the conversation. There is one sentence, then they get a note from me. There is a sentence that says most of the day should be fruit and vegetables. You're allowed to eat a pancake or something like that. My tumor patients are also allowed to eat potatoes. So it's not just like that. I'm not consciously on a low-carb diet now, but it has been shown in principle. There are meta-analyses on nutrition with cancer. And there, basically, what I said at first, it also emerged, but not necessarily, that low-carb makes sense or even keto. It's just a group of cancer patients with a certain metabolism, they have an advantage from keto, but that is, I'll claim now, no, I don't need to claim that. There's the meta-analysis too. This is a temporary effect and part of the effect is simply due to that bad carbohydrates were avoided. Or many studies are done with fructose, and now fructose and fruit are equated. Yes, but hey, there are the studies, please think of the book, Cancer Cells Don't Like Raspberries. And also other fruit has shown to be cancer prophylaxis, and then of course it also helps with cancer, but there are also studies. There is a study, rats were given orange juice, yes, where most say you can't do that at all. Sugar, sugar, sugar.
But what kind of orange juice was that? Was it orange-flavored fructose glucose syrup? Or was it a freshly squeezed orange juice?
I can't tell if it's freshly squeezed, but it was an orange juice and not a fruit juice drink. Well, what you list falls under fruit juice drink. After all, it's not officially allowed to be called juice, even if some people don't look too closely at the packaging and then equate the fruit juice drink with juice. Or nectar isn't juice, please. Well, that was a rat experiment. I'm not saying drink straight orange juice by the gallon. So not that. But sorry, in all rats the metastases and the tumor regressed. There are several substances, 3 substances, naringenin in oranges and partly also in the shell, in the white, which are simply tumor protective anti-tumor things. I'll just say.
Could it also be that on the subject of fruit and vegetables, because you already said, we fixate on this fructose, that there is just so much else which we don't even know yet because we don't understand nature at all?
We know maybe 300 components from an apple, and it probably has. Estimates go at 3,000 health-promoting components. And that's such a shame. Fruit has more vitamin C than vegetables. So vegetables are also very important. And then sometimes the words in my mouth are turned around. I'm not saying eat only fruit. I'm not saying drink 3 liters of fruit juice a day either.
It's all so extreme.
Sure, it's important that I don't raise the blood sugar level in a tumor patient. But there have been examinations based on this glucose tolerance test. This means that a defined amount of pure glucose was given, and then I have a curve that goes like this, a blood sugar curve. If I now mix the glucose with fat, a piece of meat or something, then it shoots up like that. And if I mix the same sugar, pure sugar with greens, or in this case it was now mixed with an onion, then it only goes this high. Yes, that means the trick is clear. I mix the orange juice with spinach now, juice that myself. This is of course the highest quality. Then I don't have this rush, even if it's juice.
Now a question on the subject of properly juicing. Now if I really say, on a cancer diet, I want that maximum yield of the green and the fruit and biophenols and everything. Do I have to get a juicer and then really throw away that fiber, or do I just put everything in a good blender and drink that as a smoothie?
So on the one hand, I actually recommend both, a freshly squeezed green juice plus a smoothie. There are a lot of these beetroot and carrot juices. Partly it goes back to Gerson and Pruss or Norman Walker. It has to be said that some of these are recommendations that are several decades old. Some of them still help. It's already good stuff and good juices. Unfortunately, I have now seen the cases where things didn't go well, and you can now say you don't just have to. That's partly empirical medicine. And nowadays there are examinations too, and one can simply say, hey, there are some green leafy vegetables where you know, they have 10 times the health power of beetroot juice. Which is already great.
But do I use the spinach leaves as a smoothie, or do I have to make a juice out of it now? So I'm concerned with these pros and cons. Do I have to buy both machines now?
I have both machines and I use both every day.
I still don't understand the whole logic behind it.
The juice is, if you like, or what is often used to argue against juice, it is no longer a wholesome food. The smoothie has everything in it. And the fibers, they are so important. They are, too. But dear people, if you eat like I want you to understand, then you are more than well supplied with fiber and roughage. But I don't see that I'm making an incomplete food with the juice, but with the juice I make my personally made remedy. I'm making a plant extract. What do I have in the capsule? This is a plant extract. You can also dry juices and then buy them much more expensively as powder, and then add them to the smoothie. But then what is it? It's a plant extract. I have my homemade herbal extract. Because the fibers are gone, with a good juicer, I have minerals, enzymes, vitamins separate from the fibers and make them highly bioavailable. If I have a broken gastrointestinal tract, if I have an 80-year-old before me, and I have several 80-year-old patients who did it, they bought a juicer, they drink juice. And then you see again, hey, that's where the moisture comes in. I got structured water in the juice, more than in a smoothie. This structured water is water which enhances cellular communication, which improves detoxification performance, which improves cell exchange, which can be absorbed by the cell. I can regain real hydration through the juice. It is highly bioavailable and also in juice. The fructose, if you put a piece of fruit in it, is not there in its pure form. It doesn't rush into the blood either, but diffuses through a concentration gradient in the intestine into the blood, and as soon as I mix green with it, it certainly doesn't cause a rush. I've also done it on a couple of patients who drank smoothies that were totally, by today's standards, overloaded with fruit, and the long-term blood sugar level has fallen.
That is very exciting. I always have the question pending until it's my turn. About Anthony Williams, I wanted to ask you about the celery juice. It's also about the fact that it should really be juiced in the morning and not as a smoothie, but really also as a juice. And from a lot of people I got positive feedback and also a changed, positive complexion, especially the circles under the eyes that went away and such stories. It was very impressive. What do you say?
Yes, of course, I also had patients who then scattered test bombs like that. By the way, I've been drinking celery juice for 4 weeks. At first I thought, okay, great, brave, cool, respect that they can get the stuff down. And at some point I thought, well, I actually came across the juices through the Norman Walker, and then I was so hooked. That at some point I had a juicer in the household. But then there was still the inhibition threshold. This thing has to be cleaned somehow. And there I was already hooked with juice. That wasn't the question at all. And then at some point we got into regular juicing. And with us, the juice now has a higher priority for getting fit in the morning than coffee. So we can no longer live without juice. And then at some point, do you know that? And that with the thyroid and stuff, and I thought, so now I've been offered this so many times. I think I have to deal with it now, and I have to say that I think it's really good. What he is writing and saying. And of course, I have tried it myself, and stayed with the celery juice myself. And it's not like I think, well, if you think about it now, where does he get his knowledge from? That's a bit weird at first, isn't it? And so I've already made an effort to do a lot of research before I can say, I recommend it as it is. So I put everything through its paces. Of course, I haven't found anything that speaks against celery juice. And if you like to drink it, please drink it. But I've also experienced that I get cases. They come to me and try things out where it doesn't work that way, or only worked to a limited extent, or only for a period of time, where I can already see that there are people who are so badly poisoned or such bad detoxifiers that a bit of expertise is required to say, adjust a bit in this direction, maybe start with a milder, less detoxifying juice. Or supply further support to the detoxification. Yesterday a patient said to me, with my body I was sold a lemon. I just have to do more than others. Then I say yes. I was also sold a lemon. That means I'm one of those people. I really feel that nutrition is good for me, but it's not just about nutrition for me either. I'm really too bad a detoxifier for that. And if you then say, okay, I'll do something for the liver. We've talked about fever therapy before. I do it myself too. It's really good for me, and then I need a little support. Sometimes also a kind of therapy support, so that the therapy runs smoothly. But I can absolutely confirm very good experiences with it.
What would interest me now? You are already very structured and consistent in your diet as well. And I think it would be really nice if you could show the viewers your day, without now making calls for criticism like, nobody can keep up with that, but really give the viewer the opportunity as a buffet. Breakfast sounds great or lunch sounds great. And then I pick something out. That we just take the wind out of this preliminary discussion a bit, but say, this is what a great day looks like, so take it or leave it.
I actually do that I then tell my patients what my day looks like. I, too, have worked my way there and learned and tried things out. And on the one hand, what I say to the patient, or now specifically to cancer patients, is that it's of course nice if they can implement as much of it as quickly as possible, even if it took me a lot longer to do it. On the one hand, I know that this is a big challenge for some. On the other hand, they can of course also benefit from my experiences and failed attempts. My day now looks like this, and it certainly started with drinking juice, which we have been doing consistently for several years now. My start was drinking juice, getting to such a level of fitness, that I really say now. The alarm goes off about an hour and a half before I leave the house. So that an hour and a half before I leave the house, I'm not a lark by nature now either, but now it has to be said that by nature there are only larks. And the owls just need to detox more. So it took time for me to become more of a lark than an owl. I really only drank the juice after work. The main thing is that I drink a juice first. But on an empty stomach, that's important. And then I don't rinse it through my teeth and enjoy it and salivate it. The juice is already so well pre-digested that you can simply swallow it. And then you can eat half an hour later. And then I got to the level that I said, well, let's do it in the morning. And now I'm so consistent that I can say, we squeeze half a lemon in the evening, fill it up with half a liter of water, put that next to the bed, cover that. When the alarm clock rings, it is just downed. Then we let the alarm clock ring 2 or 3 more times. This is just our habit, our cuddle time. And then we get up. Then my husband is so nice and goes to make the juice for both of us. Then there's half a liter of green juice for both of us.
What are you putting in there?
So mostly celery. But I also like spinach, orange, apple, cucumber. I always say the KISS principle. Keep it simple and stupid. There are also people like, I put this in there and that and that and that. That's actually the limit for me.
Well, the only question now was, do you only use that celery juice for pure effect, or when you don't have it, you just make the apple, carrot or spinach?
I personally never take carrots. I also personally never take beets, but we actually always have spinach and cucumbers and apples. We usually store something like that in large quantities at home. But celery has another benefit altogether. The device pulls the whole rod through by itself. Bam and done. It is very, very practical in the morning. And it's good for us, and that's why there's usually celery. You have to stuff a bit more with the spinach. So we have such a horizontal juicer. It also needs more time, the spinach and orange juice. This is another very practical benefit of the celery sticks. Well, then we'll drink it. Then I'll go to the bathroom, get ready, it takes half an hour until everything is ready and the breakfast table is set. Then we usually eat bread with raw vegetable jam. The patients also get the 2 recipes.
This is probably not normal bread, is it?
Of course, this is not normal bread. It's one of the few gluten-free breads that looks like bread, stays moist for days, and tastes like it. With a raw jam, mostly just berries actually. Sometimes we eat oatmeal, sometimes porridge with berries. Our latest quirk, after our vacation in the Mediterranean, is a melon with green leaves. It's so quick, and somehow we thought it was delicious. If you had told me 3 months ago, even I would have wrinkled my nose. Melon with leaves for breakfast. That doesn't sound so great, but somehow we really like it right now. Then the smoothie is prepared at home. It also contains greens and wild blueberries. I have 2 half-liter containers that I drink between 2 patients in the morning, because the small bread in the morning doesn't keep me full forever either. At work, it's easy with food. We used to pre-cook in the evening and then eat it for lunch, and we usually have it in the evening as well. So at work I eat fresh salad, just a huge portion. Raw food is really good for me personally, and then a small bite of something cooked. Well, Sonnenberg has the diet that we recommend, and in the evening I eat almost exactly the same as at noon. We just make something, so not really any special dishes, usually something stirred in the pan. We eat a lot of potatoes. From time to time we also have a pizza under allowed criteria, but there are things like that from time to time. But as a rule we also cook simply, and we find it very tasty, and then there are sometimes modifications. I don't feel full, okay, maybe some cashew nut sauce, or there are always patients. They are so scared, especially tumor patients, that they stop eating carbohydrates. But like I said, there are just tricks. As soon as I mix the potatoes with the salad or mix them with the broccoli, then I no longer have the glycemic index, and you also have to consider that such a tumor is not stupid, it also eats other things. And if I completely remove carbohydrates, then it says, cholesterol is cool too, then I just eat that and then I make some estrogens out of it and boost my own growth. So this is a survivor. It's a little too good to be true to say I'm starving the tumor now. Then I would really say, hey, I won't feed you, my dear, but starve it. There are cases where it works, but there are usually more factors at play.
So dear Alexandra, I could always do double shows with you or just sit down in the morning and then film all day.
But I would like to get rid of one more sentence please. Please come to the winning side. It's not the renunciation side, and there are studies on that too, but the people who experience it themselves have a nutritious diet. Your body feels so good, your body is telling you, take more of it and take less of it. The studies or the interviewees that were there, who changed their diet, who say before I thought it was a real renunciation, and now I realize it's great and I'm not suffering. And the few that are suffering, they have to contact me, write to me, we'll modify it for you, we find a way. But I have a lot of feedback. Just last week, I had several men who said, I didn't think it was possible. I'm happy with the diet. I don't have any more cravings. I can just walk past the chocolate. It doesn't itch me at all and I feel so good.
Great, nice ending. Thank you and hope to see you soon.
See you soon.
Dear viewers, it was a really motivating show, again with the topic of nutrition and to deal intensively with fresh juices. I hope you felt the same. Have a wonderful time and see you soon. Bye.